All right, and welcome back to the On the Diamond podcast. My name is Jake, and today we are going to react to 2025, 2026 MLB free agency, trade, and overall offseason grades for moves made so far. This article is on ESPN. I'll link it. It's from Bradford Doolittle and David Schoenfield. Thank you to them for making it. And we'll go over many of the bigger trades, and I'll react, give my own grades, and let's see if we can end up pretty close to the experts. All right. So first trade they got on here is the one that just went down a couple days ago. It is the Rangers getting Mackenzie Gore for five prospects from the Nationals: Gavin Feen, Devin Fitzgerald, Alejandro Rosario. Uh, not going to try to pronounce it. Ortiz and Yeremy Cabrera. Rangers get a B. Nationals also get a B. I think this is a little closer to a Rangers A. Um, all the prospects, Devin Fitzgerald. Weird way to spell Fitzgerald. Fitz, comma Gerald. Switch hitting infielder, good contact, decent pop. Gavin Feen, both great out as major leaguers in the future. Just not high potential guys. Um, think of like kind of what Jet Williams is now. That's kind of their best case scenario. Other three are kind of shoe-ins. Alejandro Rosario, big injury history. But overall, let's focus on Mackenzie Gore, right? Big lefty, added a cutter late last year. He is going to be great for the Rangers. Makes them have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, definitely, especially if healthy, right? I mean, you have DeGrom, Eovaldi, Gore, Jacob Latz, um, Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker. So this is a really great move for them. Because none of these guys were all high schoolers. None of these guys were really close to the big league, so they weren't going to be major league offensive contributors now. And if you're the Nationals, you might as well get younger. I think you are going to start to sell off some of these pieces. I do think that, or I do believe that C.J. Abrams' trade is coming soon. I think once Paul Taboni got over there, I think they're gonna have a huge reset, and getting as young a players as possible kind of fits with that timeline. I'd probably give the Rangers an A. Nationals, I'll stick with the B that they gave just because I really like the pitch mix of Mackenzie Gore, and he really has the pitch ability to navigate a lineup for 7 innings. It just could be about the long ball and staying consistent to right-handed hitters, which is why he did bring in that cutter late last season. I think about in July he brought in the cutter. So good deal for the Rangers, good deal for the Nationals. I'll take the A for the Rangers, B for the Nationals. Slight change. We talked about this one on the yesterday on the other episode about the Mets landing Freddie Peralta with the Brewers. Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers for Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. I've gone back and forth on this deal, right? I mean, the Mets get a huge talent upgrade, and the Brewers get two top 50, or I believe two top 100 prospects. I think the pipeline just dropped yesterday. I think Brandon Sproat was right at 100. As for grades, they got B plus for the Mets and B for the Brewers. I think I agree with that. I may bump the Mets down just to B because I do think they are going to eventually get an extension done with Freddie Peralta. My opinion on the move is again, if you want a deeper dive into this move and just the entirety of the Mets offseason, go back and look at the other video. It was yesterday on the channel. I think that this is a huge talent upgrade for the Mets, but I think if they don't re-sign him, I think it's a lose. I think it's a losing trade. You're trading just really good major leaguers, right? You saw Brandon Sprout come up last year. He had some starts and a little bit of a relief role is what he was projected to be in for this year. And Jet Williams was kind of blocked, especially once they signed Luis Robert. He wasn't going to get any playing time, so he kind of had to be moved. And he also had to be on the 40 man after this year. So it was good that they got a deal done to get a really quality player in return in Freddie Peralta. I really like Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. I think they're really good for the Brewers. These are just high floor guys. Brandon Sproat, as I talked about, was going to come out of the bullpen this year. Throws really hard. That's already a good floor for what you want to be at. He has some good sweeps, some good sink in his pitch repertoire. And Jet Williams, switch hitting shortstop. I mean, he has Brewers written all over it. He might be Mr. Brewer by the time he retires. And these are two great moves, or two great players to acquire from the Brewers. And I don't want to sleep on Tobias Myers, right? Tobias Myers, couple really good rookie season, cut 2 years ago, got hurt, came out of the bullpen last year, was still really good. I think he is just kind of a throw in. I think this is what the Mets asked for last second. Because I think this deal was on the table for a while. I think Tobias Myers was just kind of like, hey, we're giving up Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. Give us one of your 25, 26-year-old white guys that can throw 110 innings, and we'll be happy. And I think they chose Tobias Myers. He's a little bit older. He's 27 already. Um, this was a good trade all around. I'd probably go B's for both, meaning just an even trade all around. I really like this deal, especially if the Mets re-sign him. If they don't, we'll cross that road when it gets there. All right, Yankees signing Cody Bellinger. Finally, the Steinbrenners realized they were not poor and stopped complaining about being poor, and they signed one of the top five free agents of the offseason. I mean, you probably have Tucker, maybe Valdez, maybe Bregman, but definitely arguably a top five free agent this offseason. And I think this was a great move. 5 years was the big thing, especially as a Yankee fan myself. I did not want to go more than five. I know Bellinger's camp was originally offering seven. We were never going to go seven for a player like Bellinger, right? Doesn't have elite bat speed, but he pulls the ball in the air. And he plays great defense in left and first base and can definitely slide over to center in a pinch. This is a great move, especially the opt outs after the second and third years. He's not going to take them. That's just if he somehow finishes second or third in MVP voting and thinks he can get more in free agency after the second year. So I don't believe Bellinger's going anywhere. I think he's going to be here for the entirety of the 5 years because I think he just fits too well in Yankee Stadium. I think he's just going to want that stability, being a guy who was cut by the Dodgers, signed by the Cubs for a 1 year deal. Nobody wanted free agency after that because they didn't want to give up the qualifying offer. Then he signed back with the Cubs for 3 years, 80. Then he got traded to the Yankees. So I think he's just going to want to stay somewhere where he can thrive, where the swing fits him well, and the Yankees could always use defense in left, center, and first base. Formidable defensive team, and they gave it a B plus. I'd probably go A minus just because of the 5 years. If this was a 6 or 7 year deal, I would be fine with a B. I think this is a great move for the Yankees because if not him, then they had nobody else to sign. They waited so long. But I'm fine with a B plus. I'd go up to A minus, but I think B plus is completely fair. Mets add Luis Robert. So this one's a little tougher. So they gave it a C plus actually for the Mets and an A minus for the White Sox. I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think the White Sox did get a good return. Luis Angel Acuna is a young guy, still with potential, can play all over the field. He's fast. He makes contact. Those guys are always going to be valuable, especially once you get deep into a major league season. Having guys like this to plug and play when anybody gets hurt, sent down, traded, etc. Great guy to have on the roster. Truman Pauly's super interesting. I believe he was a first round pick, or at least a pick of the Mets last year. Good arm, has a high upside. I'm really not um, too concerned with anything with him going to the White Sox. And the White Sox are building something. They've been able to build a couple arms the last couple of years, like Shane Smith, Eric Fetty, guys like that. But I really want to talk about the Mets because I'm surprised. I'm really surprised they gave it a C plus. I actually love this deal for the Mets. You're taking, when money doesn't matter, right? Like we talked about yesterday, ragging on the Mets for money a little bit, but that's because you're paying Bo Bichette essentially $100 million for 1 year for a guy who can't play the field. This is a $20 million bet that he can be above league average, right? You're the floor on this guy is about a 3 WAR player. If you know, I really believe that if he plays a full season, of course, because that has been a little bit of an injury. There's been a little bit of an injury bug with him, but he had three good seasons and then two really bad seasons. You're taking on the $20 million. I get it. You're taking in the whole, all the money, but he just had a five-war season just 2 years ago. Well, 3 years ago now, I guess 2023. I think this is a great chance by the Mets. This is the move that you make if you're David Stearns. This is definitely, in my opinion, their best move of the offseason. Because if you get above average offense, even a 101 OPS plus, 105 OPS plus, you might be getting a four-war player. Because I think he was 90th percentile in OAA last year. He's basically a higher upside Tyrone Taylor that you're paying $20 million to. And guess what? Doesn't matter because money does not exist if you're the Mets or the Dodgers. Mets sign Bo Bichette. Now, they gave it a B minus, right? The Mets just signed their fourth shortstop to the roster with Jorge Polanco, Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, and Francisco Lindor. All four former shortstops. All or three of them can't play shortstop. One of them is a good second baseman. Two of them could barely field at DH. Bo Stones for toes. Bichette is a really great hitter, right? Not great bat speed, but he really he puts the barrel on the ball. High barrel percentage, high opposite field percentage. He does a great job at putting bat on ball, and he definitely has a little bit of slug. Has hits a lot of doubles. You saw the home run in the World Series, but let's just call it what it is. This is not a good deal for the Mets. You're basically hoping you win the World Series this year, because if you don't, this is a bad deal. Um, because if not, if he's good and you don't make the World Series, then he just opts out and you're paid 1 year, $100 million for Bo Bichette. If he's good, if he's bad, and the Mets, which if he's bad, that means the Mets don't make the playoffs or at least don't make the World Series, and then you're stuck paying him another $100 million next year. And I'll have to look at the Mets books, see what's coming off next year, but I don't think a lot's coming off next year unless Bo Bichette does. So you're just paying him $100 million to stay on your roster again. I really don't see it, especially since he does, I mean, he has the opt outs after the first two seasons. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but it's 3 years, 126 with opt outs after the first and second. And I think they were a better option on the market. I think for this price, I don't know why you don't go just try to get Alex Bregman for 5 years. I don't know why you don't try to go get Cody Bellinger for 5 years. So this was an interesting deal to say the least, but I had probably have to give it a C minus. I mean, especially because their clear plan was Kyle Tucker, right? I mean, I mean, this was a clear panic move. They probably went to Kyle Tucker's agent and said, "Hey, whatever deal that you get, come to us. We'll be the last bidder because we're going to give you the most money over those 4 years." Little did they know the Dodgers really don't care about money, and they offered him four for 240, $60 million a year, 57. Actually, I think it's 57.6 once you take into account deferrals. So yikes. I don't think it's a great move for several reasons, including Brett Beatty moving to left field or DH, Mark Viento. I really just didn't like this move. C minus for the Mets. Good offensive player, and that's about it. Phillies bring back JT Realmuto. Talk about a domino effect. This is the Phillies um, reacting to the Mets signing Bichette, and this is their replacement for that. They signed Realmuto maybe 12 hours, not even after Bo Bichette signed. They need to get this done. They didn't have a catcher. They're not going to go into the season with Rafael Marchand. Sorry to Rafael Marchand and his family. We have a lot of love for you here, but this just basically keeps that timeline going. I think that 3 year deal is perfect because that basically lines up with a lot of other deals, right? That they currently have about in terms of age, or not deals. I'm sorry, lines up with a lot of the age of the players, like Harper, Schwarber. Like you're getting three really really good years in score, and I think that these are your last 3 years. You gotta ride or die with it. They signed Adolis Garcia. Yikes, we probably won't get to that one. I don't mind the deal. Kyle Tucker, four for 240 with opt outs after 2027. and the 2028 season's A minus. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for the JT Real Muto deal. I give it a C plus. I give it a B minus. I'm not upset with it. They needed a catcher. Kyle Tucker, they gave it A minus. I give it an A plus. Um not a Dodgers hater, but I mean, Yankee fan have to hate the Dodgers or at least dislike. This is an A plus move, right? This is the rich getting richer. Money clearly doesn't matter. With their really cheap TV deal they got back in the day, um, plus all the money they get from Shohei Ohtani, just jersey sales alone. I mean, they basically own Japan and being owned by a group, the Guggenheim Group. I mean, this is nothing to them. They're getting this back and more in jersey sales. And I mean, LA is the most popular market. People want to play there. Is there anything more to say about the Los Angeles Dodgers? I don't even want to talk about this deal anymore. It sucks for the rest of baseball. And Kyle Tucker is the luckiest man on the planet. He's good. You don't need me to tell you about how good Kyle Tucker is. One of four players, the 50 with a 5 WAR season in the past 4 years. A plus deal for the Dodgers. Good for you. We're all looking at 2020. When is this deal up? 2030. We'll start competing again. Do we want to talk about the Gavin Lux, Brock Burke, Josh Lowe 3-team trade? I'll be quick. Gavin Lux goes to the Rays, their fifth lefty lineup. Reds get Brock Burke, lefty reliever. He exists. He's white. Angels get Josh Lowe. He's bad. Um, he strikes out a lot. Kind of sound like the Angels. They're gonna have an outfield that has the most strikeouts in all of baseball. I almost guarantee it with Joe Adell, Josh Lowe, and whoever's in left field. B minus for the Rays, C for the Reds, C for the Angels. Honestly, that's kind of how I feel, except I'm going to move all of them down to a C because the Rays get Gavin Lux, who is 28 out of his prime, it seems like. And again, they're like fifth lefty in that lineup, minimum. So, sure, that's the most I got on that one. Now, Ranger Suarez to the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have had such an interesting offseason. Didn't sign many free agents, right? Didn't sign many free agents or any free agents actually until Suarez made a bunch of trades. This deal, I don't want to say it was a panic move as well, but it has the feelings of one, right? You miss out on Bregman, you miss out on Bichette, you miss out on all these guys, and then you give Ranger Suarez a 5-year, $130 million deal for a guy who's post 30, whose fastball velocity is declining. I mean, let's just see. Let's see if I can pull up his baseball savant here. I mean, Ranger Suarez, I just, I want to feel I don't want to feel biased, but I'm really not a fan of this move. I mean, maybe you get him for one good year, but I mean, his whip has never been below 1-2, not never. In the past 3 years, has been below 1-2. Doesn't strike guys out. Can't get over 150 innings. I mean, last year was the best year of his career with a 3.2 ERA. I mean, he gets soft contact, but the fastball velocity is declining year after year. He's getting less whiffs, less Ks. Doesn't have any extension. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see what the Red Sox see in this guy to pay him 5 years, 130. If he wanted a shorter term deal like a Bo Bichette and wanted like a 3 for 100, I would like that deal a lot more. Not love it, but I would like it a lot more. I don't know. I'm looking at his pitching plots here. So much overlap. So his he uses 5 pitches over 15% of the time. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna what did Mr. Schoenfield give it? Give it a B minus. I'm gonna give it a C minus. I don't think this is the right move for their rotation right now. Especially when Framber's on the market. I think Framber's a better option. His fastball sits around 90, 93, 95. And velocity is king, no matter if people tell you, or tell you it isn't. I think he'll be serviceable. I don't think he's going to be worth $130 million. Oh man, I hope you all are having a great weekend. Because oh my God, the Diamondbacks with Nolan Arenado. I actually forgot this happened. I'll be quick with the Cardinals. They get a minor league righty. I actually don't know too much about Jack Martinez. I think he's really young. Diamondbacks get Nolan Arenado for I think they pay 6 million. Right? Is that what they pay for this deal? Yeah, they pay about $6 million for this deal. Evan Longoria 2.0. Next. Oh, Cardinals get a C. Diamondbacks get a C plus. I think that's perfect. Give, I'm going to bump the Diamondbacks down to a C. His bat speed's going down. He's not making as much contact. He's striking out more. All the signs of a declining player, and I don't think he's a player that's necessarily going to come back to being really good. Now, one of my favorite deals of the offseason, Cubs getting Alex Bregman on 5 year, $175 million. I mean, he bet on himself, and it's paying off. This is amazing for Alex Bregman, his family, and because I know he has kids now and everything. He wants to stay in one spot, but great deal. They gave it a C plus. I'm giving it an A. I think it's great. Cubs and the Ricketts finally spent some money. I've talked about Alex Bregman at length a lot of times, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But Alex Bregman, great baseball player. I think he's going to play great in Chicago. He's going to be at minimum 5 DRS and I'm sorry, 5 OAA and 800 OPS a year. Probably about a 4 WAR minimum. He's going to be great. Love Alex Bregman. And Red Sox missed out on a big one, while Cubs will hopefully and soon trade Matt Shaw. All right, and then my second favorite deal of the offseason, the Cubs getting Edward Cabrera. Yeah, this is great for Edward Cabrera, great for the Cubs, and great for the Marlins. I really love what Peter Bendix is doing. I'm going to talk about the Marlins first. Owen Casey's a top 30 prospect now, I believe, again with those new pipeline rankings. Christian Hernandez, Edgardo De Leon, couple throw-ins. Edgardo De Leon, especially, is really young. I really like what they got in this deal, especially with Owen Casey. Just another left-handed hitting outfielder with some power and strikeout potential. Literally like their other two guys, Jacob Marcy and Kyle Stowers. But great deal for both sides. I was a little surprised the Marlins were so in on trading him. Not that they were getting offers, but it seemed like they really, really wanted to trade this guy. And he's good, man. 3 years of control. Again, fastball, really power changeup, slider, sinker, curveball. He has the whole repertoire. And I assume the Cubs think they can get a little more out of him because fastball was a little flat last year. It doesn't have a lot of extension, but he has all the talent in the world. And if you played MLB The Show 21, this is like your worst nightmare. So good deal all around. They gave the Cubs a C plus, Marlins a B plus. I'm actually giving the Cubs an A minus, and I'll stick with that B plus for the Marlins because again, prospects are always weary. You never know if they're going to turn out. Usually they don't. Um, and we're going to keep on moving. Blue Jays signed Okamoto um, to a 4 year, $60 million contract. No deferrals. They gave it a C plus. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the C plus. I think this is a good move for the Blue Jays. High contact bat, what the Blue Jays love with power. It seems like definitely the Blue Jays value that contact, that natural contact ability over the natural power ability because they believe they can generate a lot of power out of your swing. I mean, look at guys like Vlad, where he was huge contact, added a lot of power. Bo Bichette, George Springer, Dalton Varsho. These are guys that grew into their power once they got to Toronto. So I think this is a great move for the Blue Jays. 4 years, $60 million. Really, really good player. And I assume he's going to play third base and left field, depending on what their plan is for Addison Barger. My only qualms with this deal is I actually would have rather them sign Cody Bellinger for 30 million AAV. I think that would have been a slightly better move for them. I think it fits better with their lineup, right? It's a lefty. Blue Jays need another lefty in their lineup, and he plays great defense, which what the Blue Jays love. Because we don't really know where Okamoto's going to play, as I just kind of alluded to there. He's a third baseman. that I think they're going to stick in left field. I mean, we just got over talking about the Mets and Brett Beatty, how I don't like that for him potentially. But again, overall, really good hitter. He's going to fit the Blue Jays well. He'll come in and out. He'll probably play, if you got 7 games a week, he'll probably play 5 of them. I overall like the deal. We'll be a little quicker with this one. Astros add Amai. I loved Amai. I wanted him on the Yankees. 3 year 63 with an opt out for each. It'll only be a 1 year deal. Great move for MI. They gave it a B plus. I gave it an A plus. I don't know why you take a 1 year flyer on a Japanese rental when you're gonna, plan on competing, especially with Jordan Alvarez back. So this was a great move. I love Tatsuya Mai. A lot of ride on his fastball, low arm slot, big extension. Well, for his height, and he has a nice little wrong way slider. It actually has arm side movement, which is actually super weird. Not many come to mind. I think one that comes to mind is Dari Moreta. Just thinking off the dome, but has a splitter. I think it's a splitter and a changeup, if I remember correctly. His fastball sits 95. Really great reclamation project for the Astros. Reminds me a little bit of Yusei Kikuchi, except Tatsuyama has had immense success. But I think they're going to work with his repertoire and see if they can get more of a cut, more glove side movement for that slider. They gave it a B plus. Like I said, I gave it an A plus. I don't know why you wouldn't do this move. We're gonna try to go over some of the bigger signings at this point, right? Pirates getting O'Hearn, happy they're acting like they're spending money. A's get Jeff McNeil. Mets just sold him for money. It's like just getting off the money. I don't know who Jordan Rodriguez is. Maybe he's a mixture of Jordan Alvarez and Francisco Rodriguez. If that's the case, he'll be a really good player. Padres get Sung Mun Song, 4 years, 15 million. So I actually did a little bit of research about this guy recently. I really like what he has. I really, really like what the potential that he has. I think he's basically a Ha-Sung Kim replacement, as they kind of say in this article. Um, and he has, and they're actually noting here that he does have incentives to get that contract a little higher. But for 4 years, 15 million, if you can get Ha-Sung Kim, good defense, slap it all around the field, hit close to 300, maybe 280, 290. This is a great deal. 4 years, 15 million. He's basically a fast Luis Ariz at this point. Look at that. You replaced Luis Ariz for 4 years and $15 million. Don't sign Luis Ariz. I should have waited till Luis Ariz signed to get this done. Red Sox signing Wilson Contreras. I'm sorry, trading for Wilson Contreras and getting $8 million. They give him Hunter Dobbins, Blake Ita, and Yoiker Fajardo. The other two really young. Don't really. I'm not going to talk much about them. Hunter Dobbins for the Cardinals because I want to spend more time on the Red Sox and Wilson Contreras here. This is a good piece. Depth, young arm that could potentially grow into something more. I think he looks more like a four long term. I think he's just your classic 140 innings with like a 3.8 ERA, and you're going to be happy with it. Um, this is the Cardinals just offloading all of their pieces. I'm sure we'll get to a couple more later with Sonny Gray, but this is them offloading Wilson Contreras and $8 million so the Red Sox can go ahead and pay the rest. Good deal for both sides. Red Sox, they gave it a B. Cardinals, they gave it a B. I might give the Red Sox an A minus. Um, I actually really like this move for them. He's a power hitting first baseman, get on base, hits the ball hard, high bat speed, and can play really good defensive first base. I mean, most ex catchers do. Excuse me. And I think this is your Tristan Casas replacement, right? I think he is going to play first base. I think Casas is going to be a DH fill in. It's just so tough because he's been hurt and he's been bad and I don't think they've given up on Casas yet, but I think it's probably getting a little close. White Sox and Murakami stealing him away from all the good teams. 2 years, 34 million. Yeah, they gave an A plus. This is an A plus plus. You're gonna sell so many jerseys as White Sox, as the White Sox to the Japanese market. You have the potential that he's really, really good and he can hit 40 homers a year and hit 250. I think that's peak if he does end up getting there. And this is a huge trade chip, this trade deadline, if he is really good. So again, we know about him. High swing and miss, high power. Um, and that was even in Japan where, we're in excuse me. The pitchers just aren't as nasty as they are here. It's just uh just a fact. So I think if I had to project something for Murakami, I think it's gonna be like 230 average this year, 20 to 25 home runs with like a 750 OPS, which I think they'll be happy with in their first year, which is why I think they signed him to a 2-year deal for him to get used to major league pitching and then really thrive in that second year. They gave it. I already said they gave an A plus, and that's easy A plus. Ooh, this is an interesting one. The Orioles get Shane Baz. The Rays get Slater DeBrun, Caden Bodine, Michael Forett, um, Austin Overn, and a competitive balance round A pick. I do not like this trade for the Orioles. It is a huge overpay for Shane Baz. I will say this: Shane Baz had a much better ERA away from the minor league park that is Steinbrenner Field, and he's going to be a much better pitcher. He profiles more to me as a three starter. Can give you 160, 170 innings of 3.6 to 3.9 ERA. And I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be fine, but you gave up so much. You gave up first round picks and Slater DeBrun, Caden Bodine, Michael Forrest has nasty stuff, lower arm slot. Austin O'Vern, I don't know a lot about, if I'm just being honest. And then a competitive balance pick is always good. So you're essentially getting 3 first round picks, 2 prospects, and this is a huge haul for the Rays in exchange for a guy like let's just be real. He did have an ERA that started with a 5. Um, Although that ERA was much worse at Steinbrenner Field, who knows? He doesn't do the same with the Orioles, especially with them having definitely a worse defense than the Rays do behind him. So, but the Orioles are just collecting white men in their 20s with blonde hair like they're Infinity Stones. They gave it a C for the Orioles, A for the Rays. Couldn't agree more. Loved it. Ooh, speaking of white guys that actually he's in his 30s now. White guys in their 20/30s with blonde hair that can hit dingers. How about Pete Alonso? Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so funny because me and Pete are so much alike, right? Both from New York, both hit a lot of homers in New York. Only one of us did it professionally. And then we each get traded to Baltimore because I mean I've been to Camden Yards before, and he's gonna stick in the A in the I almost said NFC East in the AL East, and he'll be there for a long time. But a great deal for the Orioles. They gave it an A. 100% agree. This is the thump that they need in their lineup. Obviously, Pete he's better off running with no glove out in the field, but you're paying for the bat, right? You're paying for the bat, and you're hoping the rest of the defense behind is fine. Apparently, Pete's good with the scoops. That's what I keep hearing. But don't let him go to his right. He can't do it. You're better off falling over and stopping the ball and not putting your glove down. Please, Pete, do a couple of those against the Yankees, and I will be a fan. All right. Um, Matt Strum, not really worth talking about. Good, I like it for the Orioles. Michael King, $75 million over 3 years with 2 opt-outs for the Padres. Here's the thing. I think that this was more of a we need to keep him so we get the value out of what we traded him away for, or what we got him for, which was Juan Soto. The Padres, I get it, they're gonna compete next year, but like are they? Are they going to compete? The NOS is getting stronger. The Giants, I think, are going to be a playoff team next year. The Diamondbacks are going to improve their pitching just by adding Corbin Burns back from injury, regardless. I mean, what are you going to have? King, Musgrove? Is he Darvish out for the year? I know we got surgery. Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito. Is Yuki Matsui going to be an opener? Don't want that. Is Adrian Morejon going to be an opener? Don't want that. So 3 years, $75 million for somebody who's trying to for an owner that's trying to sell. They don't have a TV deal. I don't believe they're just having money problems. I don't think this is the best deal. They gave it a C plus. I think I'm going to go even lower. I think I'm going to give it a C, just an overall C. But I appreciate them trying. You know, like a lot of teams don't try. Like I would have loved the Reds to make a move. Let's just group these two Mets relievers together. Let's just group Weaver and Williams together. I think they're good moves. I think they're good moves, not great. They gave a C plus for Weaver for the Mets. I think that's probably what I do for the Weaver signing. He's he lost some juice last year, right? Fastball ticked down a little bit, cutter had a little less movement. He really relied heavily on that changeup, which came back to bite him in the playoffs because once he threw a fastball, they kind of knew it. Every time I was up in the zone because he didn't trust those other pitches. But 2 years, 22 million. It's not a huge sign up for the Mets, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it for an eighth inning Luke Weaver role when he, excuse me, past the age of 30 and just grabbing another Yankees reliever just for the shits and gigs of it. Devin Williams, I don't have his grade in front of me. I would hope it's a little higher of a grade because I think Devin Williams is a great reliever. I just think they overpaid for him. We'll see when we get there, but I think it's going to be a B minus grade because that's what I give the Williams move as a B minus, right? You got a really good player. I didn't realize that Devin Williams was 30 already. I mean, did anybody know Devin Williams was 30? I could not have guessed. I mean, him and Brad Keller, I think, are like the same age, which is crazy to say at this point, but um, good for Devin Williams to get paid, right? He was not as bad as people said last year when he was with the Yankees. Really good, obviously really good airbender. Fastball lost a little bit of life earlier in the season. He was sitting 92, 93, but as we progressed through the season, and I think he was shaking off some injuries, he did get back up to 95, 96, 97 in the playoffs. Um, but I really do think he needs to add a third pitch. I think these, people seeing him for the amount of years that they've seen him, fastball changeup, you kind of saw in the playoff series with the Red Sox, people were just kind of guessing, and you're eventually going to guess right. And there was a couple really hard foul balls hit down the line by Alex Bregman in that series, I remember. So he got rocked a little bit when people play playoff baseball against him, which is taking a guess on the pitches and seeing what works. Hassan Kim, fine deal. They gave it a B plus. I can hindsight, I'm gonna give it a D because he got hurt, but in the moment, I'll give it a B plus. That's fine. Phillies, Adolis Garcia, they gave it a D. Damn, how the mighty have fallen. I'd probably give it a C because you have the potential, right? You have the potential to get better. The only thing is, Adolis Garcia is also not a good fielder, so they're basically getting rid of Castellanos to get Garcia, who's been a worse bat than him. So on the surface, it's worse, but I think Garcia has higher potential than Nick Castellanos. Um, don't have too much to say. I give it a C. I think that's more than fair. This is actually my most underrated move of the offseason right here. It's the Royals getting Isaac Collins and Nick Mears in exchange for Angel Zerpa. This is a great get for the Royals because they weren't going to spend big on many people in free agency. And getting Nick Mears, who's a solid bullpen arm, fastball slider, fastball slider. Apologize for the yawning, guys. In exchange for Angel Zerpa or Angel Zerpa, I don't know how you pronounce it. A lefty, electric fastball, hits 98, 99 with it. Good slider. I think he's been great for the Brewers. They needed a left-handed reliever ever since Josh Hader left. And the Royals getting a really good switching outfielder, 29 years old. He's going to produce. He's going to have closer to 800 OPS. And the Royals are going to be very happy with his development. Or his production. I apologize. Tigers signing Kenley Jansen. Not too much to say about this. They gave it a B minus. I'd also give it a B minus. Good deal. Throws a cutter 90% of the time. Don't know how he does it. It sits 90 poo, and he gets a lot of outs with it. Good for him. Him and Kyle Finnegan, same guy, except Kyle Finnegan with a splitter. He is a cutter. Kyle Finnegan's really, really good. Um, More deals here. We'll go over a couple more. Jorge Polanco, 2 years, 40 million with the Mets. Um, I was not a huge fan of the deal, right? Did not like the deal overall. You're taking a guy that's 5'7", 180 soaking wet, and throwing him at first base. Now, I'm not a first baseman myself, but Jorge Polanco has never played it at any point in his minor league career. He never played it in the major leagues. I I'm struggling to see this move, especially this being the Pete Alonso replacement, right? This is your Pete Alonso insurance, or not insurance. I mean, this is who you signed to replace Pete Alonso for $20 million when you could have just paid Pete 30. I mean, he's old. I mean, I just don't like this move. They gave it a C. I think I go a little lower. I think I give it a D. He's either going to DH or he's going to play first. But then again, if he DHs, that means Brett Beatty has to play left field. But then if Carson Bench starts the year in left field, then Brett Beatty has to go to DH, and then Jorge Polanco is forced to play first base. Unless you want to move Brett Beatty to first base, and then Jorge Polanco is your permanent DH. But then you're paying $20 million for a hurt, hobbled DH who has two really bad knees. I don't know if I want to pay that much for Jorge Polanco. I just rather use Mark Vientos at first base if you're gonna have two bad knees. So definitely not a fan of that one for the Mets. I'm gonna stick and give it a D. I think they were gearing up for Kyle Tucker, by the way. I do think they were gearing up for Kyle Tucker. They just couldn't get him at the end of the day. I think that's what this move did signal. I think that they were going to move him to third. If I'm being completely honest about their plan, they're going to move him to third, Brett Beatty to stay at first, Kyle Tucker to play in left, and then just switch out DH with Vientos. They were honestly the Mets just seemed like the team that were going to sign Marcell Ozuna. Um, and they're going to go that way, but they did not. They had to panic, and apparently David Stearns is all about defense, except when you're talking about a 5'7" middle infielder who's not good at defense and has bad knees and has no range. I mean this move was terrible. Blue Jays, Tyler Rogers, $37 million, 3 years. A fantastic deal for the Blue Jays. This is a huge. I love Tyler Rogers because he has the huge benefit of the velocity movement in the big leagues nowadays. Huge beneficiary of it. Couldn't think of the word. He averages 84 with the fastball, rising slider, going to be really good. He's going to get people out. He's led the majors in innings, I believe, from a reliever or appearances the last 3 years. Great move by the Blue Jays. They give it a B plus. I'd give it an A. The only thing you want to be worried about is the 3 years because he's 35 years old, but he doesn't throw hard. What's the velocity going to diminish to 83? I mean, it doesn't matter. He could throw 78 and he'd still be effective. I love Tyler Rogers, and he was great for the Mets last year. We're gonna go through some of these quicker. Braves, not Rangers, Suarez, Robert Suarez, 3 years, 45. Good deal. Needed a setup man to Raisel Iglesias. I like the deal for 3 years. I think he's 36 now. They gave it a B. I give it a B plus. Good move by the Braves. Braves getting Yastrzemski, 2 year deal, $23 million. Great for the Braves. He hit the ball really hard last year, up to bat speed, especially once he got to Kansas City. Um, Sneaky old, right? Sneaky old, 36. Did not know Yastrzemski was that old. He came up really late, but you just never think about that when he came up in 2018, 2019. 36 years old next August. That's insane. I give it an A minus. They gave it a B minus. They did end up giving that Alonso deal a B. I would give it an A minus. We already talked about that one. Phillies bringing back Kyle Schwarber, an A. Yeah, this was an easy A. This is a deal you need to get done if you want to have any chance at contention past last season. Schwarber, I mean, Listen to these stats. They wrote it here. During these 4 seasons of the deal, he's averaged 47 home runs, 107 runs, 108 RBIs, while hitting 226, 349 on base, 507 slugging. I mean, this is one of the best hitters in the major leagues. Second in MVP voting last year, deserved. I love Kyle Schwarber. I would have loved him on the Yankees back when he signed that original 4 year deal 4 years ago. Hell of a player. Easy A for the Phillies, especially if they get rid of Nick Castellanos, so they don't have to have Nick Castellanos playing the field anymore. I think that would be a huge upgrade for the Phillies. Dodgers landing Edwin Diaz. Yeah, great deal. Take it from the Mets. 3 years, 69 million. Money doesn't matter, so I don't even look at that. I just look at the years. Dodgers. It's basically Dodgers get good player. Dodgers do good things. Dodgers win Super Bowls or NBA championships or whatever. Great deal. Easy A plus. Don't really care. Nationals getting Harry Ford. I love Harry Ford. I loved him in the WBC. He's going to be great for the Nationals because Keibert Ruiz can't hit anything. He can't defend anything. His WAR, I think, was negative. He is one of the worst bat speeds, highest contact rates. Never seen a player more ground out to the second baseman more than this guy, except for 2024 Alex Verdugo. If you know, you know. Mariners get Jose Ferrer. They needed a lefty reliever, only had Gabe Spire, and he kind of got rocked in the playoffs, especially in that Tigers series. Um, and a little bit in the Blue Jays series, but yeah, good pickup for them. They give the Nats an A minus. They give Mariners a C plus. I'd go B plus and B. I think this was actually a little. I did like this deal for the Mariners. Red Sox getting Johan Oviedo for Yostinkson Garcia, the password. The other guys are throw-ins. I'm not really going to talk about them. Yostinkson Garcia will probably start the Pirates opening day roster. Red Sox, Johan Oviedo will start and the fifth man in the rotation. Simple as they're major leaguer for major leaguer at this point. I'm going to give it B's all around, and that's basically what they did. Blue Jays signing Cody Ponce. Great deal. I'm so happy they got it done earlier in the offseason, too. Because this is a guy, if he would have stayed on the market for longer, I think he would have gotten more money. But I think the Blue Jays were really quick to offer him those 3 years. So that was a fantastic move for them. Really reworked his pitch repertoire. I mean, he pitched to, do they have it in here? Yeah, a 1.89 ERA with 252 strikeouts and 180 innings, winning the league MVP. He's 6'6", sits 95, gets it up to 99, kind of like me. And it was a cutter curveball changeup. I mean, this guy's going to be great for the Blue Jays. Even if he doesn't work out as a starter, they're going to make him into a high leverage reliever. I can kind of see a guy like Devin Williams when he first came up with that cutter changeup, really hard fastball. I like it a lot. Blue Jays are rich, getting richer, and this I am jealous of this move. Orioles signing Helsley, 2 years, 28. I think this was a massive overpay. You didn't need to sign him for this. This is a guy that was coming off of a horrible year. I would have taken a 1 year higher AAV prove it deal because if I'm the Orioles, I do think I'm going to compete next year. I think I could trade him at the deadline for an impact bat if he's good at this deadline, and if he's bad, I don't want him on the year on the books for another year. They gave it a C plus. I'd probably give it a C. He's the potential to be a high leverage reliever. 2 years, 28 was just too much for Ryan Helsley. Dylan Cease signing with the Blue Jays. Bit of an overpay, but I like it. Dylan Cease, he has the optics, right? I mean, these organizations nowadays don't really, I don't want to say they don't care about your numbers, but they don't care about your numbers. It's really just what they think that they can do with you and your repertoire. Obviously, he's primarily fastball slider. He had this little Bugs Bunny, goofy looking Ephus changeup for a year or two, and it didn't work. It was like 70 miles an hour. And then he had a curveball, which he flashed more in Chicago, doesn't throw as much anymore. He needs to get a third pitch, but I think the Blue Jays really believe that he can. He's just not a pronator. So I think that he can develop something, maybe like a downer curveball, maybe even a sweeper. Just get him something to give to lefties. Because, oh, good Lord, that changeup. I mean, it sat up there forever. I thought it was a position player pitching every time I look at the screen. If you ever want a good laugh, go look up Dylan Cease changeup. But overall, $30 million a year, not a huge overpay. I wish they went like 5 or 6 years over seven, but you're not really complaining too much for a guy of his caliber. Red Sox getting Sonny Gray. I actually don't like this move for the Red Sox. Obviously, it's an innings eater, but do you know why I don't like this deal for the Red Sox? Not because they got Sonny Gray, but because they gave up Brandon Clark. I don't care what organization you are, and I don't care what your beliefs are when it comes to baseball or anything for that matter. Brandon Clark's a lefty who throws 100. He's a lefty that can throw 100. If he turns out to be a Roldis Chapman or even worst case Mason Montgomery, the Rays just traded away. This is a great move for the Cardinals. This is gonna be a major league caliber guy. I think he's 23, and you get Dick Fitz. I mean, who doesn't love a good old Dick Fit? Um, he's a good gonna be kind of like Hunter Dobbins, what they got earlier. He's basically Hunter Dobbins with a little more flair and a little bit better of a name. Going to be 120, 130 innings for the 3.8 to 4 ERA. Red Sox do get better in the rotation. Sonny Gray did get more whiffs last year overall. I just think there are better ways to upgrade than paying Sonny Gray $40 million. Just my own opinion. I don't think that's a hot take. But he was great, though. He did have a much higher whiff rate last year. They gave the Cardinals a C, the Red Sox a B plus. Flip them. Rangers Mets, Marcus Semien, Brandon Nimmo. Can I say I don't like this trade for either? I'm going to give both teams a C. The Mets traded a worse offensive player to get a guy whose OPS starts with a 6, and he plays good defense at second base, but he's going to be 36 years old and was injured last year. To pay him $28 million for 3 years. Rangers get Brandon Nimmo. They're taking on a 5-year deal when the Marcus Semien was only a three-year deal, and Brandon Nimmo's also hurt, but he kind of plays through it. But he's a decent offensive player. But you said beginning of the offseason you want more money off your books. Like I just don't really know. I'm gonna I'm gonna give them both C's. I'm so sorry. Uh, Another disgusting organization, the Angels. They get Grayson Rodriguez. Orioles get Taylor Ward. I love this deal for both sides. Orioles really think that they can compete or re-sign Taylor Ward, and you give up a guy who, I mean, it's one of those situations where the Orioles know more about the medicals than the Angels do, and he hasn't pitched for them in like a year and a half, 2 years. I think the medicals scared them too much. I really do. I don't think they trade him without seeing the medicals and seeing how bad it was. So, with that being said, um, I'd probably give this deal a B minus for the Orioles, and then for the Angels, you trade a Taylor Ward, who's a rental for a guy that maybe might throw a pitch for you, maybe four. The upside's there, but you have no idea with his medical history, which is why I give it a B because the Angels need to take risks like this. I think it's a really good trade for all sides. Grayson Rodriguez, mm, oh Lord. And then last deal we're going to talk about is Josh Naylor to the Mariners. Great way to kick off the offseason. Literally right after the World Series ended, I think this deal was done. I don't know what day this was, but this is a fantastic deal. 5 years, 92 and a half. Speedster Josh Naylor, right? Speedster Josh Naylor. Plays good defense, hits the ball hard, hits for a lot of contact. And I think he hit him in at 20 home runs last year. I think he's 28. I mean, this is just a great year, great deal for the Mariners. I think they should bring back Eugenio Suarez too, kind of bring the band back together. They went to Game 7 of the ALCS. You don't really need to change much if you go to the Game 7 of the ALCS, especially because your pitching did not perform that well. I think you can be getting a better performance this year from them. And maybe if Julio can decide to play a full season, we can do that as well. Well, all right, guys. That was reacting to David Schoenfield's and Sean Doolittle's Is that his name, Sean? Might be Sean. Do a little article from ESPN about grading all the offseason moves so far, or all the main major ones. Um, the next podcast you see will be myself going through all the positions and ranking all of the players in that position. We will start with catcher. I wanted to wait for a couple more guys to get off the board, and I think we're at a good point now where we can do that. So we'll start ranking. We'll start ranking very early next week. Thank you for watching, and have a great weekend.